Welcome to our Dragon Prince Season 3 hype interview. I'm Hailey, and I got the opportunity to once again talk to the creators of the Dragon Prince, Ehasz and Justin Richmond, along with my video co-creator DEEPCUT, about things we want to know regarding Season 3 and beyond. There is so much good information in this video, so make sure to watch until the very end so you don't miss out on anything. Additionally, we asked for questions from our Twitter followers. A few lucky fans got their questions answered. We might do this again eventually, so make sure to follow us at CartoonUV to stay updated on all our Dragon Prince content. For those that want to see an almost uncut version of this interview, consider subscribing to our Patreon account. It's basically everything here, but it includes all the rambling from the creators as well as a lot of fun jokes they made that were taken out to make this video more concise. For as little as $3 a month, you could be getting this, plus lots of other perks and hidden content. There was a lot to discuss, and the creators were very forthcoming with a lot of hints and secrets about the lore of Xadian, plans for the characters, and even some shocking tidbits about what to expect as far down as Season 5. The best place to start, of course, is with the release of Season 3, which is somewhere on the horizon. The most pertinent question of all is, what should the fans expect?
There's a pretty emotional flashback sequence that we're really proud of.
Yeah.
That is
It's
beautiful, awesome. Terrifying, heart-shattering.
Yeah.
They're so good
Yeah.
that when we previewed them, my wife became very upset.
Yeah.
And was really upset, and that's how I knew it was working.
We joke that it's the sadness show for children sometimes.
The epic sadness show for children.
The whole
I don't
season
know.
is way amped up to like 11. It's a really cool season. It's super exciting for people to go. I can't wait for people to see it.
Fun ride.
Fun ride.
Epic things happening.
Yeah.
Character development.
Yeah.
And the greatest diarrhea joke we've
Ever told. Yeah,
Keep
that's
your
right.
eyes out for that.
In the world of Xadian, there are several different species of elves that exist, and we've only encountered a few of them so far. Grace from Twitter asks, what type of elf are you most excited for the fans to meet next? Though the answer we got wasn't exactly what we expected.
Well, you've met. I'm trying to think. You met Runaan. You met.
Oh, like primal elves.
Right? Is that what you mean?
I said type, so
Could be anything.
That could be anything.
more the primal elves, yes.
I can't wait for people to meet Terry. You said this in.
That's gonna be so
I
long.
know, but yes.
What about a certain elf, a pendant-making elf?
Oh yes.
What about that
There's
elf
another
who
Runaan
makes,
elf.
who makes weapons
Who makes
and
weapons.
pendants
The tinker.
and amazing?
The Tinker Elf.
The one, yeah.
Yeah, the one. It was his birthday the other day.
Yeah.
Yes, he's awesome.
During the Season 3 panel at San Diego Comic-Con, it was revealed that Alarion, a name referenced in ancient poems seen throughout the show, was actually a great human city from thousands of years ago. But the real question is Alarion still around?
Without fully answering, yes, it is presently a thing,
Yeah,
but we can't say what kind of thing.
but yes, it is a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll actually, it's some of these things will be on a map. I think we also teased that we have this great partnership coming together with Scholastic.
Yeah.
And we were just recently finalizing a map that will be in the novels that are going to come out, and
Yeah.
there are so many cool details on the map, and Alarion is one of those details, and
Yeah.
there are a number of other nice lore-based things.
New fun stuff that nobody knows about.
Yeah.
The Scholastic book partnership was announced at Comic-Con as well, and now that I had the chance to discuss it one-on-one, I thought it would be a good idea to figure out exactly what this book deal meant for adult fans of the show.
Well, the partnership with Scholastic is broad, so there's stuff that is for kids and families, and there's stuff that is focused on older fans and adult fans. The intention of the novels is for sure to be a deeper, richer experience. I mean, not that the show is already very deep and rich,
Yeah.
but to have extra level of detail and do some things that we couldn't do in the show and things like that. So the novels are not focused on a kid's audience, but smart kids should be able to grab them and get something out of it.
Yeah.
If their parents let them.
They should.
Yeah, but they're being written for our most dedicated and intelligent fans.
Yeah.
Perfect. So everyone watching interview.
Yeah, hopefully.
Pretty much
exactly.
the people who watch this
Yeah,
interview.
exactly.
So,
Yeah.
but there is stuff that is focused on kids.
Yeah.
So there's like a guidebook that will come out, and it's our intention with all of those things has been to we've been very closely working with Scholastic so that every one of those things has deeper lore and reveals and things that any fan will appreciate. So, yeah, I don't know how to say it, but once you see it,
yeah, there's sort of
you'll
like
see it. It's like something. It's like it's maybe made for things that are made for the book fair, but that the day it comes out, like images from it and discussions will be spurred online and things like that.
There's a bunch of new fun.
None of it is
stuff.
nothing is throwaway. We want all of it to
Yeah.
add value. That if someone, gets it, they're getting something deeper. They're getting something new. They're seeing more. So
Yeah.
With those book releases still on the horizon, I thought I might try to get a little more of the lore that they mentioned now. One of those things I've been most curious about myself is, how does the Xadian government work? Particularly with the elves.
do you want to know about the Xadian government before or after Xadia was made great again? What? Okay. You were going to make him make Xadia great again. I think Xadia has a less rigid government than humans have kind of created around. So I think things like national boundaries and government systems are a very human thing, and which is not to say that there isn't hierarchy and power and beings that are able to rule and exert influence and power over other beings, but it's not quite the same as the human kingdom. So we'll learn more about that in season 3.
And the elves are sort of almost in some ways like different. They're different from each other. They don't necessarily all have the same structures and stuff like that. So
Fewer borders in the elf lands begs the question, are there elves of mixed lineage, tapping into multiple primal forces?
I think you'd have to get into it,
Yeah.
the show, to find out.
yeah. Yes.
I mean,
I'm not answering yes that that's the answer, but yeah, we need to go deeper into the show though.
I'm going to assume so.
Somewhere along the line.
I know, and actually, in a weird way, that may be an unsatisfying answer, because me saying it that way may imply that like we haven't gotten into it deeply. But like, I feel like if an elf from one primal type of elf falls in love with another elf,
That's okay.
like,
it's cool.
Yeah,
Who's gonna stop them?
Oh, it's okay. So it's like they're not very strict about like that kind of thing.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think like we're talking like historically, or what are the patterns that have happened? Like it may be that the patterns have been that these primal, based elves have grown cultures and civilizations that have become separate and differentiated from kind of whatever the early days with the first elves were.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine there hasn't been crossover and
They're compatible.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're not like it's not like dogs and monkeys or like what I mean.
I
like,
didn't think so.
Yeah, no, but you know what I mean. Like they're all people. They're all
Yeah,
elves,
yeah. So I haven't really asked about it.
By the way, in Xadia, dogs and monkeys also can have
It's
families.
very weird. It's a very strange thing.
Wait,
Yes.
that's a thing?
No, or maybe it's
I'm
not.
just.
That's right. Book 19, Dogs and Monkeys.
Oh, okay, 19 seasons.
Yeah,
confirmed.
exactly. Yeah, yes. Only to get to that one. That's.
That raises some questions about the nature of these primal forces. At the Comic-Con panel, it was revealed that there was a time before elves had branched off into their different tribes based off primal forces they are connected with, which made DEEPCUT ask, are the primal forces independent of one another, or do you happen to be magic first, then evolve into a subcategory later on?
I mean, some of this can get. We have talked about an idea of kind of deeper magic and deeper gifts that the original beings received.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
But we have, and that'll also be in the novel, or it'll start off.
It'll
there.
start off there. Yeah.
The state of the world and kind of the evolution and differentiation is that magic, practical, usable, powerful magic, is drawn from the 6 primal sources, right? But there is this idea that there is kind of this earlier, less differentiated power, or kind of magic that's deeper and more. I don't want to kind of say what all of them are, but it's not that important now. It has more to do with the history of beings and their interactions. And now I feel like I'm talking crazy, but Aaravos cares about some of this stuff, and it's funny, we've like worked on a speech in season 5 where he kind of goes into some of this.
Yeah.
That's still a
Yeah,
ways
later,
off.
yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah.
I mean, elves
Sorry,
are
causing trouble.
Yeah.
That's great. No, that.
The elves are inherently magic, right? Like.
Does that mean there are moral kind of primal elements that magical beings can tap into that we just haven't discovered yet, or is it?
They aren't. They're pre-differentiated.
Yeah.
They're kind of the best I can say it is like that is one of them is power.
Right.
And so it's like, well, what does that even mean, right? It's like it means a thing that has impact on the world, that changes things, that directs an impulse from, you know, a mind to a thing and changes it, right? So it's really, it starts to get,
it's very heady,
a little heady, right? But the more modern, differentiated, and kind of existing forms of power and magic are, but magic isn't exclusively power, to be clear. Magic can come from other parts of the gifts. Wow, we're talking about stuff we didn't intend to talk about. Sorry. So yeah, I'm gonna stop.
For the longest time, humans were believed to be unable to do magic themselves. However, Callum has been developing the ability to do magic naturally. This made DEEPCUT ask, can a species become magical over time?
There have been humans long in the past that could have done what Callum did, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yes. They're like, but modern day, he's a phenomenon, right? Like nothing's been like this in a long, long time.
Yeah, I mean, if Callum is developing the ability to do primal magic, do you believe that Callum is special because he's the only human who's able to do it? Or do you believe that Callum is special because he's the first human in forever to realize it is possible for humans, right? So, you know, that's kind of a little bit the question.
Yes, that's
I mean, he's special either way.
Right.
But is he special because he's realizing that maybe those limitations weren't true? Or is he an exception to those limitations? Right.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
This was an interesting answer, but it only seemed to raise more questions. What exactly was the source of magic, and why is it that we see more magical creatures the further west we go?
Talk about this. Wait, there's a story.
When do we talk about this? Is this coming later?
Yeah, we can't talk about it. There's a very specific story here that is awesome, and I just don't want to talk
It's a great question.
Yeah, it is a great question.
It seemed like we were starting to get into spoiler territory, so we thought it would be best to shift gears and start asking less about the world and more about the people. With so many characters we could be asking about, we took to Twitter to find out which ones fans felt they could use more information on. Julia asked, can we get any hints for future plans of Runaan? Last time we saw him, he was trapped in a magical coin after all, so fans like Julie are curious to know what will happen to him.
Runaan is in an in-between place right now. So, I mean, some of the story is more about Rayla doesn't know where he is or what's happened to him.
Yeah.
By the way, you know, Rayla's people don't know really what happened to him, what happened to the other Moonshadow elves. So the story is around not everyone quite understanding what Runaan's fate has been. And over time with Rayla, it will be about learning the truth of his fate and how will she respond if she realizes
What happened?
He's not gone, or he's not fully gone. So it's a long burn.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah. Slow burn. Slow burn.
Slow burn? This long burn's not a thing.
Slow burn.
Slow burn. Slow burn.
It's
But
like, that's what we
that
call
said,
it's a Ken burn.
I mean, and like I think there's also the story about how it matters to Rayla now and
Yeah.
how it affects her, but also there's good story around their relationship in the past and how it led to this moment.
Yeah.
I mean, the moment that they faced off against each other is a very unusual moment because they have such a deep history that was not as kind of colleagues or assassin partners,
Yeah.
right? So, you know, it's
You'll see more.
and that's one of those things too, by the way, that like not trying to plug it, but in the novel we had more of a chance to explore some of that and like her feelings around what Runaan was thinking and actually why he took some of the actions that he took. What were the actions that he could have or should have taken toward her that would have been much more severe, and how he gets around doing that and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff that I think we are excited about from the novel.
That format just gives you more space to do interesting
Yeah.
stuff like that. So, yeah.
Every character in this show seems to have quite the history with the people in their lives, which made the next question particularly interesting. On Twitter, Cosmo asked, is there a story for how Gren came to be Amaya's translator?
There should be.
Yeah, there should be. We have not written one down. But, I mean, a lot of what we did.
Their relationship is beyond
Yeah.
like a work relationship, obviously. They
Yeah.
care about each other. They have so yes, there is.
When we were
Thank you,
researching,
Cosmo, for suggesting it.
yeah, we were
Now it is
researching.
going to be a thing.
When we were researching Gren or when we were researching that whole idea of having a deaf character and having a translator and what that looked like, we looked at translators and the people they're translating for and their relationships and how they work together. And oftentimes they're together for like years and years and years and years. And they're not. It's not just like this person shows up and then a new one rolls in. Like oftentimes you'll have somebody who's with you for a long time, which is obviously there's a whole story there.
Cool. We'll get writing to that. Writing for that one.
Yeah, I mean, look, if we can get to it.
Gren used to be a horrible a-hole. Until no.
No, that's not true.
Yeah, I can't believe that.
He's always been delightful.
An interesting character on the show is Corvus, who we really haven't seen much of yet, but did have a bigger role in Season 2. Since we've not really asked about him, I want to know if there were any fun facts they could give us about his character.
Here's one that's not really, I mean, this is not lore, but it was, so for a while we didn't have a name for him. Like, we had a character and we knew what he was, but we didn't know exactly what his name was going to be, so he was Dennis Trackerman.
Dennis Trackerman.
Because we knew he was a tracker, and then I had a whole lore in my head about the Trackerman family, and there was lots of them, and he was Dennis, and there was Steve, and like all these other relations. But no, I think Corvus and there's definitely an interesting past to Corvus and Amaya and Soren and all those people.
Did he go to camp with Soren?
He went to camp with Soren. That's right. That is lore. Yes, he went to camp with Soren.
It was surprising to hear that Soren and Corvus have a history, considering how casually Soren was tying up Corvus in Season 2. Here's what Aaron and Justin had to say about that.
I mean, so just because you know somebody doesn't mean you don't have things that you're responsible for. Right?
I don't know that they were like
they're not friends.
Best friends.
Yeah.
They went to camp together.
Yeah, it'd be like, hey, that guy from your high school, right? Like that was in that class that one time.
I don't know. It may even. Well, I don't know, but I think like the way Soren is, it may even be that like Corvus is like, we went to camp together. We talked about, and he's like,
we did.
No, I know. Right? No, we did.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm on board.
Sometimes Soren is like,
yeah,
he's all there, but he's like, he misses.
He's not connecting the dots.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's right.
One of my favorite characters is Aaravos, so with the opportunity in front of me, I decided to get the answers to some of the mysteries his character presented, such as, where does his fascination with humans stem from?
It goes way back.
Yeah.
I think he's complicated. I mean, I think there's a part of him that is kind, that is generous, that is giving, and I think there's a part of him that is arrogant and desiring to be, worshipped and revered. I think he's very complicated.
Yeah,
but he's not a simple. He's very manipulative, but he's not. I think he's in some ways more straightforward than normally when we think of manipulative, we think of someone who's being deceptive. I think he's actually manipulative without being deceptive, if that makes sense.
He never lies.
He never lies.
He never lies.
Yeah, he said that, but now I was confused by other things.
Yeah.
Has he lied about it? I don't think he's lied.
No, he's never lied about anything. He if you understand where he's coming from, he's not lying about anything, right? So but you don't necessarily know where he's coming from yet. So yeah, but no, he never lies. He always tells the truth. I
mean, you've heard us talk about Aaravos before, so we've talked about this, like, is he Lucifer or Prometheus, right? His relationship with, humanity and the gifts and sharing that he has had historically have been, you can interpret it different ways.
Yeah.
And so we saw at the end of Season 2, he did like a lot of different moves in combination with Viren. And it seemed like a lot of them, or we do know that he has mastered all the other primal sources. Is that like all elves can do that, or is that just him thing?
It's him thing.
Yeah, he's very special. Yes, like he's more than a lot of other people are.
While learning about the past and future of the show is a lot of fun, it's important to take a look at the creative processes behind the show. One thing that is a hot topic issue right now is diversity in media, something that the Dragon Prince has been praised for.
Telling an original, authentic story, part of that is discovering characters and points of view that are maybe have not been told as repeatedly, and so partially due to a long time of a lot of storytelling being from limited perspectives, the storytelling opportunity is to try to tell stories from a set of more diverse perspectives. It's certainly an opportunity in terms of characters. I think we are also believers that those perspectives are interesting, that not just from a point of view of like being original and different from other stories that have been told, but just being enlightening and being more dimensional and being more kind of having more light and more kinds of light and more. It's just better storytelling to find diverse perspectives and you know, as much as possible. We don't force it. We think about our world that way. We think of it as an opportunity. You know, I think when we originally conceived of Amaya, we were conceiving of her as so many of her characteristics were just what they were. That she was strong and strategic and a blunt person who knocked doors down and stuff like that. And then it occurred to us, what if she was deaf? Would that how would that affect her character? And we kind of played it out, and we thought, oh, that actually enhances all these characteristics. It makes her, you know, a stronger general. We've always said she goes in the zone when she's in battle, and she's got this sort of like nothing gets her, and like it just felt like it worked. So we did more work to figure out what that would mean for her character and how to, you know, try to portray her authentically or as authentically as possible. And we're still learning, but it clearly enhanced her character. It made her a stronger character. Yeah. Not just for being different, but actually makes her better. Yeah. So we just look for those opportunities when they're there. Yeah.
I just want to say it's so beautiful that you guys, when you incorporate these elements of these characters, it doesn't feel like you're trying to tell us something, which I think is the case in a lot of diverse casting these days. It feels like we're meeting a real person as a result. And I just want to say thank you for that.
Because thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. We try really hard.
It's amazing that you say that because it feels effortless because of it. Because it's not.
I mean, part of the advantage here, also, to be fair, is we get to invent this world, and we're not beholden to a bunch of things that have already happened, and we're not stuck with a bunch of like real world scenarios where people have all of this baggage they understand about what it's like to live in a country anywhere in the U.S. or in the world today. There's an understanding of what that is and what all the ramifications are and where that comes from. Like, we get to make stuff up and try to be as authentic as we can, but like do that in a cool way, you know.
I will tell you something. It is hard. There's still, even as much as I think a lot of television executives and executives are becoming not only more accepting, but even more progressive about pursuing diverse stories and different perspectives. Yeah. There's still resistance, and it comes in the form of like Justin and I created a show that we someday hope to put out there. That one of the main characters has cerebral. Can I talk about this?
Yeah.
Has cerebral palsy, and an executive fairly, I think, quote unquote, innocently asked about like would most kids get this perspective, or like is this point of view going to lose a lot of kids? Yeah. And it was like, this is a kid. Like, what do you mean? Like, why is that? And it was so like, because what you want is you want to be able to tell the story of a kid who has that difference, and do it in a way that kids who have that difference see themselves reflected and haven't seen themselves before. And guess what? Other kids are like, oh yeah, I see myself in him too. Yeah. And so of course you want to do both. And I think that's maybe where the sense of it being like effortless is that it's not, you're not imposing it on an audience to say like, look at this different person. It's like, look at this different person who's the same as you, even though they're different, right? But there are still kind of, I would say, implicit biases or blocks in executives who are like, well, is that a POV that most kids are going to get? And it's like, yeah,
they'll get it. Yeah, exactly.
If it's written well, if it's acted well, if it's animated well, then it'll work. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay that I talked about that?
Yeah, why not?
All right.
Yeah.
Someday
we'll do that. Yeah.
For our final few questions, let's talk about the characters. I know this was a tough question, but Dee wanted to know about their favorite character design and why that was.
Now we get in trouble no matter what I say, but...
How about who's our favorite character designer?
Yeah.
Why don't you just name names?
Yeah. Favorite character designs? I'm just trying to think.
I love a lot of designs. I've always loved the design for King Harrow.
Yeah, Harrow's great. I really like... there's a character in season 3 that I really, really like. That's
Can you whisper? Who is it? Oh wait, is she? Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's never been seen before, but there's a cool character.
Janai's sister. You love her design.
Yes,
I do too.
Yes, it's
I
very,
remember the
very
first
cool.
time I saw that design.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's a fun design. All the dragons are awesome too, by the way. Like I feel like Soul Regum's design is really cool and iconic and fun. So. But yeah, they're all great. It's like picking your favorite child.
And finally, I even wanted the creators to recall the first character that they created when developing the show.
I think it was Claudia.
I think technically it was Thunder, but then yes, the first human character.
Here's why I think it was Claudia, because I think it was, we had a scene where, we were like,
yes, you're right. Yeah, that's right.
The dark mage passes his knowledge on to his prodigious daughter.
Yep.
That was kind of
That
the
was
scene
the
we
first
were
scene,
working on, and it was
Yeah.
but the dark mage was just kind of like before he was Viren, was just like this blank guy who was like whatever, and just this like little girl with like a spark who could do it, and then it evolved a little bit into her and her brother, so it was Claudia and Soren, and the brother being kind of not interested and a little bit freaked out by the magic, and the girl being like,
I'm in.
Almost like a Azula-like
Yeah.
interest in it, and that scene had both kind of like being told about it as a kid, and then a flash forward to something that happened 10 years later that was kind of horrifying and big, that is implied in season 3, but we don't show in season 3.
That's right. Someday we'll tell that story.
But so yeah, because a lot of our original talk was about dark magic and sort of how those related, and that created a lot of the ideas for the world.
Non-evil stepmother was one of them.
Right.
Yeah.
So then, what made you want to change to like make the main characters, like the 3 main characters, like Callum, Ezrin, and Raylo, like because they get a lot of the focus, you know?
I think it wasn't necessarily about main characters. I mean, I think that was a world building moment.
Yeah.
You know, the main characters, I don't even remember. I mean, I think we knew we had this conflict. We knew that the world was at the edge of war. We were kind of figuring that out and what could happen. And we pretty quickly got on this scenario where a king and a father was facing his own assassination, and that one of the assassins would meet the kids of the king.
Right.
It was kind of like, how about, what if that happened?
Yeah, that's right.
And that's pretty early.
Yeah. Yeah, that first scene was never intended to be like, oh, this is what the whole thing is about.
It was just kind of working out a sense of what dark magic was.
Yeah.
I mean, I think in the scene, actually, he demonstrates kind of primal magic, and he's like, ooh, I can't say.
You can't tell,
But it's the point is he's demonstrating that it's incredibly complicated. It requires very rare components to do primal magic. He's like, and he kind of takes a spider out, like that scene. An emberback spider, and you can just crush it out of them. He's sort of showing how easy it is, and like the boy is all freaked out.
Yeah.
And the girl does it.
Yeah.
And it's like kind of creepy, and it's like, oh my gosh.
It's basically the spell that she uses to light the pyre in season 1.
And it was just like, we did a bunch of scenes that were just exploring to kind of get a feel for the universe and the characters and the tone we wanted, and that was the first one. Yeah.
As much as we wanted to keep asking questions, that was all the time we had for that day. But there is still plenty of more Dragon Prince to come in the future. We have to do another interview with the creators sometime soon, as well as keep making theory videos. So if you have not already, make sure to subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. It would mean so much to us. Thank you for watching!